Live and on tape from Silicon Valley, this is Robocorp and Beyond. Hosted by Dave Daba, CMO at Robocorp. Now to the host that can't stop talking about Gen 2 RPA, digital workers, and all things robotic process automation, Dave Daba.
Welcome to Robocorp and Beyond. I'm Dave Daba, the CMO at Robocorp. And today we are going to have a fantastic conversation about IDP and RPA. Joining us on today's show is Ozan Bilgen from Base64. He is the CEO at Base64, as well as Tommi Holmgren, our VP of Solutions at Robocorp. Ozan, I'm so sorry. I think I butchered your last name, but I'm super excited to have you here. This is a really interesting topic, I think, for all of us. How's everything going today?
It's going great. Thank you very much. You did pretty better than many other people, so don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, it's the L that kept throwing me on your last name. Tommi, how's everything going for you out in? Are you out in Helsinki right now?
Yeah, I'm in snowy Helsinki. We got like a massive dump of snow within the last 2 days. It's almost impossible to move out of the house. Car is buried under the snow, so it's good to do podcasts.
Hey, Ozan, where are you at today?
I'm in Manhattan, New York.
Okay, fantastic. And I'm coming to you from finally beautiful Northern California. We had like 5 days of rain, so the sun is out, but there was still ice on my car this morning. All right, so we've got a great show planned for everybody today. We're really going to deep dive into IDP, and then we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about how IDP and RPA works together. I thought we'd sort of kick this off for you, Ozan, and ask you, how'd you actually end up getting into this space? How'd you found your own IDP company?
Well, I worked many tech companies in my past life. I'm a software engineer myself, in my bachelor's and master's in computer sciences. And my career, I worked at Microsoft, Netflix, PayPal, Uber, and Palantir. And in one of the Uber, I was there in a very early age, and I was very surprised how they handle the documents. So Uber, as you know, has riders and drivers. And for drivers, we want the drivers to submit the driver licenses, vehicle registrations, and insurance cards. You may think those things are all automated, but it was 2014. They were actually sent to Philippines to be redacted and extracted. And that was a mind-blowing thing for me to think that so much manual work can actually happen in a company. And later on, I was appointed as a technical leader of Uber's leasing department. It's called Exchange Leasing. And over there now, I personally noticed that there's actually no alternative to that solution. We had separate 300 people in Phoenix, Arizona. They were going through day in and out through leasing contracts, making sure the right places were signed and the name matches the name on the driver license and all those nitty-gritty things. Was the daily activity of 300 college grad people, and it was pretty frustrating to just see that, and can't even imagine how hard it is. In my later life, I decided this is the big problem that I love to solve and I feel passionate about. And the more I got into it, I realized the documents are not that easy. We are actually doing a pretty good job as humans to read and understand it. Now it's time for AI to take it over. So that's how I end up here.
I absolutely love that. It's time for AI to take it over. It's so funny. Like the matching of signatures is something that came up a lot in the last 2 years here in the United States, especially with on the political front. making sure that the signature that was on file matched the signature of the person that actually voted. Was definitely a big topic. Tommi, now I know you've ran companies before. I don't believe you've ran an IDP company, but maybe you can just give us some quick thoughts on what you think about IDP.
Yeah, you're correct. I have not run a IDP company, but I've been working with IDP previously, mostly from like a process and automation perspective. IDP was a critical part, for example, when building accounts payable automations or whatnot. So I've been seeing the IDP space and the development of it within the last a few years through that work.
Yeah. Fantastic. I think like as a marketer, Ozan, I did want to compliment you. I'm not sure who's done your branding for you, but your entire company looks great. The website and how everything sort of comes together. It's pieced together, really nicely. So compliments to whoever you have over there. They're doing a great job. So just I think we'll sort of dive in to some questions. I like to say hard-hitting questions. But what are the driving use cases of IDP now? And really, as we sort of enter into this next year, how do you see those potentially changing in the next 12 months?
And this is for me, or
yeah. We'll throw it to you first, and then we'll hit Tommi after.
Well, I think the expectations from the customers are rising up, and it was like 5-10 years ago. I understand in this space, just doing basic OCR was something really amazing in terms of digitalization. Now the expectation is an AI that can do all types of documents. The bar raised very quickly over the past few years. Now the companies, they don't want to find different vendors for different document types, just like they wouldn't hire a different person for an invoice or a receipt and so forth. What else is like they want to be able to extract the features beyond text. That is barcodes, little signatures, stamps, watermarks, and all those things they want that to be detected as well. The next thing is they want 100% accuracy, and that is only achievable through human and AI interaction, which is something we launched last month, which is very exciting now. You can still get the instant AI responses, but in a few minutes you also get 100% verified responses, and that's what the customer wants at the end. And the last thing is automation and RPA, right? So just having a great AI in the IDP space is not enough. So we need partners like Robocorp in the space that will take us deep into the problem at heart and solve the problem right there. And that goes. The fifth thing is, I think, certifications. So a good solution should be safe and secure as well. There should be no risks. And with that, we have, for example, HIPAA, SOC 2, and GDPR certifications, but also we can work completely in on-prem networks where the data doesn't live. So those 5 things became almost like a de facto standard for any IDP solution today.
All right. Tommi, what are your thoughts on this topic?
I could basically just validate what Ozan was just saying, like talking with our customers, enterprise customers, especially the on-prem requirement of running everything locally. These documents always have sensitive data. There's rarely a non-sensitive like document extraction use case. It's driver's licenses, it's people's medical records and so forth. So that requirement of being certified, like Base64 is, like Robocorp is, being able to run the automations in on-prem environment without anything leaving is such a critical thing. And I would also say, like, I'm really interested to see how this, like, not only extracting the text but the features of a document, how is it developing right now. Especially the use cases where you follow, for example, a trail of the same user, seeing that does the face remain the same, or does the autograph signature remain the same. I think they are extremely interesting in combating fraud and that kind of use cases.
All right, fascinating. So Ozan, where do you see this industry heading in 3 to 5 years down the road?
Well, I think the consumer behavior is changing very rapidly in our industry, in a way like the AI is being a household name. There's no day that someone doesn't use the word throughout it. So now the expectation from AI is like being the super ultimately perfect thing that is that just things not just faster and cheaper, but also like ultimately like much more accurate and so forth. So I think where it is going will be affected by these expectations. So it is going to be the super fast, cheap, resilient thing that can do all types of things at the fraction of the cost, at a fraction of a second, and ultimately the most secure and non-discriminative way. So that is the future of this, I think.
Tommy, what do you think? What's this going to look like 3 to 5 years from now?
I wish I knew.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, and maybe this is also a question to Ozan. Is that, do you see that some of the most common document types would become more structured by nature? And what I'm referring here is that, for example, in my market, there's rarely a case of invoice extraction because all the invoices are XML messages. So it is by nature already a structured message that goes in online, and nobody prints it out and nobody needs to scan and extract data. Are there some areas that will adopt similar interfaces between the companies that would make IDP irrelevant in some areas?
I think one day maybe there will be no documents, but that day is very, very far ahead in the cycle. I'm talking maybe a couple decades, and that's anything beyond 5 years. The prediction becomes really just a wild guess. You mentioned invoices. Even with the invoices, there are so many varieties across the countries, regions, and it's not just about companies. Obviously, companies have different layouts and requirements that they want to put in there. I don't see everything is happening that fast and that quickly. The second thing is, even though there is some digitalization, paper or printed or PDF documents, there are still considered as a proof of existence. This is, a driver license is the perfect example for it, or a passport for that matter. I actually just came back to New York yesterday, and they checked for my passport. Although they already knew that I am who I am, they wanted to see that piece of document in my hand to prove that I am the person that I said to be. So documents will change its meanings. I think the IDP companies will go more forward on the understanding document part rather than just extracting the letters from an image part, and that's where it is, I think.
All right, that's this stuff's just also fascinating. I'm sort of wondering, Ozan, how good are the platforms today that offer pre-trained models compared to sort of training your custom document models?
Well, I think the answer is actually pretty trivial, and this is why we are doing with pre-trained models.
Yeah.
There's no way pre-trained and just customly built model can beat a pre-trained model. This is it will be in a very, very rare scenarios. In a pre-trained model like ours, we train it with tens of thousands of maybe millions of documents to achieve the results, to optimize it, and to build it for this purpose. We add a lot of intelligence on top of it, such as verifying. Tommy mentioned invoices. making sure the line items add up, making sure like total and sum adds up. And in doing those kind of like things, making up the data and verifying like the routing numbers and so forth. So with that, this is engineering. This is like a lot of studying on top of it. And I know like in some places, some products, they say their customers like, oh, just upload a few hundred documents and tag them and it will do it. That is, I don't know how to put it better, but it's actually like, not true. If machine learning is just like uploading a few documents and using your mouse, and anybody can do it in any company, then why do we hire machine learning engineers? Like then we will just upload those documents and we will have the best IDP program ever. So this is basically just a marketing or sales / gimmick that they use. The reality is you have to train and retrain and retrain the documents with the changes. So that's why the pre-trained models are the way to go. The second thing is on those kind of like documents, the common thing is like, well, we have an invoice model, and then you upload yours and optimize this for yourself. I think that doesn't make any sense at all to me. If I hire someone to do my invoices, I wouldn't hire a new person or so forth. I expect them to read that, even when they see an invoice that they never seen before. Like with knowledge, like all of us, between three of us, like we can read any invoice. In fact, we can read an invoice from a language that we don't even speak. Let's say we don't speak Italian. You can see an Italian invoice and you can actually extract this data pretty much very, very, very accurately. So that actually shows you if the model is pre-trained, like us in this case, then you don't even need to worry about like new documents and types and so forth. So that's, I think, my philosophical answer on that one.
I love that. Tommi, your thoughts on this?
I'll start by complimenting Base64. Like I think I was really positively surprised when I was trying your product for the first time. Like just making tests, like how does it work, and what kind of results am I getting. I typically try with a Finnish driver's license and a local. Well, the passport is easier because they're quite generic, but the driver's licenses are still quite local, and my country and language is not one of the big ones. So people usually don't train models on Finnish driver's licenses, but your API and your product was able to identify it as a Finnish driver's license and extract the details like 100% perfectly from the driver's license, even if it was upside down in the picture and so forth. So I did that on purpose, but you passed the test. So that was like, it was really, really good.
That's awesome.
Maybe to continue, like a question back to Ozan. You mentioned that you're building also like the expectation is the 100% accuracy, and of course, like it's unreasonable to expect that the AI model will be always 100%. It can be good, but it's not going to be 100%. So, you mentioned about the human validation. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what are you doing on that front? What is the release that you did or the announcement that you did recently?
Yeah, so when it comes to AI, like you said, you can always push it forward, but at the end of the day, you want humans behind the wheel, and you know what happens if you don't, like from the movies and so forth. We want the final decision to rest with humans, and this is just same with IDP, same with airplanes. We have autopilot since the Second World War, yet there's a pilot, in fact, two in most airplanes. So the reason why. It's not that the autopilot doesn't work. It works. It's battle tested. It's being used in every flight. But it's actually, what if a sensor is broken, right? What if something, down in the, subcomponents is breaking? And what if there's like, a scenario that the engineers have not thought of? So humans are pretty good in catching this. That's one thing. The second thing is it's basically sharing the responsibility. So when AI does something for us, we expect it to be 100%, but being realistic, it's just like, a project that engineers have been worked on for a few years. We, on the other hand, we are adult people. We've been seeing things like, for years and years. If we had enough time, we are pretty good in making decisions. So the way we are combining these two things is our AI produces the results, and then we allow the humans to take a look at it. Well, now this is very different than a BPO kind of application where you let the humans to do the job. because instead of like now spending maybe half an hour on a complex document, they only spend like, a minute by just, eyeing the results and saying like, okay, that looks good to me. And the second thing what we are doing, which is completely new in this industry, is now we're actually taking it over to. So we are actually saying, tell us where your documents are, and then tell us where you want to take to, let's say Robocorp in this case, and from Robocorp to Robocorp 2. And then we will basically say, we will run this through the AI, and then we will have verifiers on our own. And you can even say, using your verifiers or our verifiers, I want one review. Oh, no, this document is very important. I want 3 reviewers. I want 3 thumbs up on that, so that like, it passes through. So this level of automation, I think, can only be possible with humans, because AI is great, but it doesn't know what it doesn't know. So we want to put like a very different thing there to make sure it works. I find this very similar to humans and dogs, right? So humans and dogs, when in the wild, when we we're a shepherd. So there's a shepherd who is smart and does things, but there's a dog we need to round things up. Our wolves came, so that the combination makes it much more powerful. This is when 1 + 1 is equal to 3.
It's funny. I'm not really comfortable yet with the total recall future of of Johnny Cab, the self-driving car. I don't want to be in a plane that doesn't have a human there. In case something goes wrong with the sensor. So it's just fascinating, fascinating stuff. One quick question for you: what are the do's and don'ts, if you will, of document automation projects?
Well, I'll always think that one of the biggest problems in any engineering project is the scoping and understanding like what needs to be done. Obviously, we want everything to get done yesterday, but the realities are like there's constraints. There's time, money, resources, and also patience is I think a resource. Like people run out of patience when they don't see the results. So for that, like scoping is very important, and this is where I think like RPA companies are really, really good at. Like Robocorp has a great team in sales and pre-sales and support teams that can actually identify the problem and find the best solution for that. And with that, like when they get the IDP part out of that project, it will be like very well scoped for a company like AI company like us to take it over and complement that product. Rather than like just someone directly coming to us without really knowing what they are looking for and asking us for things that we don't even do today. So all those things that needs to be built in harmony. This is why I think it's a great idea for a lot of companies to work with the Robocorp and similar companies. The other thing I want to say is being realistic about the expectations. So the expectation should not be like, why it is not just doing things. It's actually like, making a plan for getting there. And that's very important. So those are the most difficult things that we've been facing. And this is, one of the reasons why we are partnering with Robocorp.
Hey, Tommi, speaking of, partnering with Robocorp, maybe you can walk us through how Robocorp and Base64 work together.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. So first of all, Robocorp's strategy with IDP is not to build like our own IDP platforms or IDP engines. We believe that there's players in the market like Base64 who do it really well. It requires a specific effort to build these document models, and we want to work with the companies like Ozan's who specializes in building these models and engines and bring them to Robocorp platform so that they're as easy to use as possible. So we built a keyword library within the RPA framework very recently. It's called Document AI, obviously. And under Document AI, Base64 is one of the first engines or providers which basically can be used with a single keyword. So using Base64.ai's API to extract data from hundreds of document types. I don't know, Ozan, how many document types?
900.
900. So 900 document types supported, and it's actually just a single keyword in the automation script if you take away the authentication part. But that's together with authentication still like 2 to 3 keywords. So it's extremely simple to use Base64 now from Robocorp.
All right. Ozan, any thoughts from your end in terms of how we all work together?
Well, I think RPA is the future because there's simply an endless need for automation, but there aren't enough software engineers to actually do that. So that's where I think RPA comes in, makes it much more easier and expands the base of the number of people basically who can do those kind of things. And that list goes all the way to anybody who can use a computer all the way. And that I think how we can actually achieve the super hyper automation dreams, that everything just like flies around, the documents goes and Tommi's XMLs. But without RPA companies, you will need to hire software engineers, product managers, project managers, and all those things, and that will not going to happen. So within that RPA world, within this big dream of RPA, there is a very big portion of documents which is only humans, which only humans can read from that, and that is the problem we are solving. And I think that combined these two more really important things, I think the hyper automation will become a reality towards the late of this decade and next decade. And I'm very excited to build this together with the Robocorp team.
Yeah, we are as well. I keep thinking of automation, in terms of the solar system, and so I sort of have RPA being the sun, because everything sort of revolves at some point, connects back and revolves into it. So be on the lookout for that social media post at some point, I guess. Okay. Hey, Tommi, any closing thoughts on your side of the fence?
The examples of how to use Robocorp together with Base64, they are in our portal, which hosts tens, I think close to 100 different example robots. Go check them out. Maybe Dave can post it in the description of the video. And then ask me, ask Ozan. We are happy to help to get you started.
I have mad posting skills at the bottom of videos. Ozan, any parting thoughts from Manhattan? I'm very jealous. It's probably beautiful with some light snow on the ground there, I would hope.
Well, global warming is helping here. We are having an easier winter, but I'll be in North Cali. I'm looking forward for that rains in a few weeks. From here, to Tommi, I wish you guys a beautiful winter. I'm looking forward to see you all in person. So.
Fantastic. Tommi is literally miles away from where Santa lives, I believe. That's how much snow. I'm glad. Last time I was there, we called it summer camp and not winter camp. That would have been certainly challenging. All right. Well, listen. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and joining us on Robocorp and Beyond. This has been a discussion about IDP and RPA. Ozan Bilgen, CEO of Base64.ai. Thanks so much for joining us today. Tommi Holmgren, Robocorp's very own VP of Solutions. Next time, I definitely want to see the fireside chat set up from you. For Ozan, Tommi, I'm Dave DeBaugh, the CMO at Robocorp, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your business week.
Robocorp and Beyond is a production of Robocorp Inc., where we bring digital workers to life for teams that want to work smarter, not harder. For more information on Robocorp, Check us out at robocorp.com.